They threw soda in her face, destroyed her work, filmed her crying and posted it online for laughs. Every single day, they treated her like garbage because she wore thrift store clothes and ate homemade lunches. They thought she was poor, pathetic, powerless. They had no idea she was married to Daniel Chen, a billionaire worth $1.2 billion who could buy their entire company with a phone call. The day they broke her favorite mug, everything changed. He walked into that office, and within 24 hours, her bullies were begging for their jobs. But what she did next? That's the part that will leave you speechless. Please kindly subscribe to Tales by Shaldra right now. Hit that like button because this story will blow your mind. The elevator doors parted with a gentle whisper, releasing Maya Chen into the gleaming lobby of Apex Marketing Group. She stepped onto the polished marble floor, her worn ballet flats making barely a sound. Around her, the office hummed with expensive energy, designer heels clicking in staccato rhythms, voices rising and falling in practiced confidence, glass walls reflecting the kind of perfection money could buy. Maya kept her eyes down, her canvas tote bag heavy on her shoulder. The bag was old, practical, showing its age in frayed edges and faded color. Just like her favorite gray cardigan, soft, comfortable, and decidedly out of place among the designer labels that filled Apex's corridors. She moved through the lobby like a shadow, passing the massive chrome logo that dominated the reception wall. Everyone else seemed to glide through the space with practiced elegance, as if the office were their personal runway. Maya simply wanted to reach her desk unnoticed. Most days, she succeeded. Her workstation sat in the far corner by the window, tucked away from the main floor's theater of ambition. She set down her bag and opened her laptop, arranging her notepad and pens in neat, precise lines. Order. Logic. These were the languages she spoke fluently, even when human interaction left her fumbling. A yellow sticky note clung to her monitor, "Try smiling more." Smiley face. Maya's jaw tightened. She peeled off the note and dropped it in the trash, willing her face not to flush. She knew who'd left it. Keisha Washington's brand of cruelty always came wrapped in false sweetness, like poison in bright packaging. From her tote, Maya retrieved a plastic container, homemade quinoa salad with vegetables she'd prepped Sunday night. Healthy, filling, and cheap. She tucked it into her desk drawer and turned her attention to the screen before her, where numbers and data patterns awaited. This was her sanctuary, spreadsheets that made sense, trends that followed logic, problems she could actually solve. Across the open floor, the usual voices rose in their daily performance. Keisha's laugh, sharp and deliberately loud. Marcus Rivera's booming storytelling, each sentence dropping names like breadcrumbs leading to his imagined importance. Jennifer Park's phone constantly buzzing as she documented her curated life in real time, her desk a shrine to beauty products and iced coffee cups. Maya inhaled slowly and began typing. In the world of data analysis, she was brilliant. Her professors at Northwestern had told her so repeatedly, marveling at her ability to spot patterns others missed entirely. She could read a messy spreadsheet the way poets read metaphors, finding meaning in chaos, beauty in numbers. But here at Apex, brilliance didn't matter if you couldn't perform it correctly. And Maya had never learned to perform. She sipped lukewarm coffee from a Navy travel mug, a gift from her husband, engraved with simple words: think deeply. Speak softly. Act kindly. The weight of those words usually steadied her. Today, they felt like a rebuke. Nice sweater, Maya. Keisha's voice cut through the ambient noise, dripping with mock concern. Did you raid your grandmother's closet again? Laughter erupted nearby. Marcus joined in with an exaggerated chuckle, while Jennifer stage whispered, "Oh my God, Keisha, stop." Maya's fingers never stopped typing. She'd learned not to react, not to give them the satisfaction. She kept her eyes on the screen, her expression neutral, her breathing steady. Outside the window, Chicago's skyline stretched against a pale morning sky, indifferent to the small cruelties being performed in its shadow. The whispers continued around her, but Maya Chen remained perfectly still in her corner. She'd built walls around herself, brick by brick, insult by insult. She told herself the walls kept her safe. She was wrong. By mid-morning, the atmosphere in the office had shifted. Maya felt it like a coming storm, The way laughter grew sharper, the pauses between whispers grew shorter, the malice in the air turned electric. She tried to focus on her work. Her monitor displayed a complex client behavior analysis she'd spent days building, a web of data points revealing patterns that could save Apex's biggest account thousands in misdirected spending. It was good work. Possibly the best she'd done. But she knew from experience that recognition would only come after someone else claimed credit. The voices behind her grew deliberately louder. "I swear, if I had to wear clearance bin shoes, I'd just work from home," Keisha announced to no one in particular. "What's even the point?" Marcus joined in with fake sympathy. Not everyone had parents who could afford the good stuff. Let people have their beige cardigans in peace. Jennifer's giggle was sugar-sweet and venomous. "Did anyone else notice someone in the break room yesterday eating a sandwich in a Ziploc bag? Like, poverty has a smell, right?" Maya's hands froze above her keyboard. She'd eaten a turkey sandwich in the break room yesterday. In a Ziploc bag. Because she packed her lunch every day to save money, not because she needed to, but because waste felt wrong to her. The pain wasn't in their words. She'd built immunity to words. The pain was in their persistence, in the way they circled her like predators who'd caught a scent. They found joy in her silence. They mistook her kindness for weakness, her humility for shame. "Hey, Maya," Marcus called out, his voice pitched to carry. "Did you take the bus again today? Or did you Uber in with your billionaire boyfriend?" "Wait, that's right, you don't have a boyfriend, do you?" Keisha's words stretched out like taffy, sweet and sticky. "She's married to her spreadsheets," Jennifer added. "Probably slow dances with Excel on Friday nights." Maya turned slowly in her chair. She met Marcus's eyes, not with anger, but with the weary recognition of someone who'd seen this play before. She smiled slightly, just enough to confuse him, then returned to her keyboard. But the small victory dissolved that afternoon. While Maya attended a client meeting, Keisha struck. When Maya returned to her desk, she stopped short. Caramel-colored liquid spread across her workspace like blood at a crime scene. A full stack of printed reports, a week's worth of careful preparation, lay soaked and curling at the edges. Her notepad, a gift from her mother with pressed flowers in the cover, was ruined. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," Keisha said, standing over the wreckage with empty hands and empty eyes. "I totally tripped over my own heel. Such a klutz moment." Marcus leaned over the cubicle wall. "Yikes. That looks expensive for someone without a corporate card." Jennifer had her phone out immediately. "This is perfect for my Monday mood board," she explained, snapping photos of the destruction. Maya stood perfectly still. Heat crawled up her neck, not from rage, but from the effort of containing it. Her fingers twitched at her sides. Her pulse hammered in her ears. But she said nothing. She walked to the break room, retrieved paper towels, and returned to clean her own desk. They watched her like scientists observing an experiment. Even Amy, the young HR intern, glanced up from her laptop but quickly looked away. No one intervened. No one spoke up. The real sickness in that office wasn't the bullies, it was the silence that fed them. By evening, Maya sat alone at her clean desk. The coffee smell lingered like a ghost. She stared out at the city lights beginning to flicker on against the darkening sky. She wasn't angry. Not yet. But something inside her was changing. Something that had nothing to do with forgiveness. Friday arrived under heavy gray clouds that pressed low over Chicago's towers. From her corner desk, Maya watched rain begin to streak down the tall windows. She'd always liked rain. It made the world feel quieter, more honest, as if even the city stopped pretending to be invincible. Inside Apex, there was no such peace. The air felt tight, charged with invisible tension. Laughter echoed too loudly. Someone had ordered lunch and was sharing it only with select colleagues, making a performance of exclusion. Maya had learned her role in this theater: silent observer, occasional target, never part of the cast. She focused on her screen, finalizing the Bloom Cosmetics campaign analysis. She'd found a critical flaw in their customer segmentation model and corrected it, potentially saving the firm tens of thousands in wasted ad spend. But she knew no one would acknowledge her work until it appeared under someone else's name. Keisha leaned against Jennifer's desk, scrolling through her phone. Wait, you have to see this TikTok, she said, barely suppressing giggles. Jennifer tilted her screen, then burst into laughter. That's so Maya. Look at how she eats lunch. Same energy. Maya glanced up instinctively. Their eyes met. All three of them, Keisha, Jennifer, Marcus, stared back without shame, without apology. Maya forced herself to breathe and return to her work. Then it happened. Fast. Stupidly fast. So petty it almost didn't register until it already had. Thwack. Something cold and wet struck her right side. Maya gasped, flinching. Her grey cardigan clung to her skin, soaked through. Red liquid dripped down her sleeve onto her desk, splattering across her keyboard. A Coke can rolled to a stop beside her mousepad. Across from her, Keisha stood with her hands still slightly extended, as if the throw had been casual. Oops, Keisha said with mock sweetness. Thought you could use a bath. You're welcome. Maya stood slowly. The room went quiet. Not silent, but still, like a forest before lightning strikes. Everyone was watching now. Marcus snorted. God, you're such a buzzkill. Can't even take a joke. Jennifer lifted her phone. I have to record this. This is gold. She filmed, zooming in on Maya's wet sleeve, her shocked face, the puddle spreading across her reports. Say bye to your dignity, loser. Maya's face burned. Her heart pounded so hard it hurt. She wasn't crying. Not yet. But her hands trembled. She looked around. No one moved to help. Not the project manager across the aisle. Not Amy from HR. Not even the CEO's assistant, who glanced up, then deliberately looked away. Then Marcus reached forward and kicked her chair. It spun, jolting sideways. Papers slid off her desk. Her travel mug, her husband's gift, toppled and cracked against the floor. Jennifer howled with laughter. Keisha leaned in, her voice low and acidic. You don't belong here, Maya. This isn't a charity. This is business. Maya didn't move. Couldn't move. Her palms clenched so tightly her nails dug crescents into her skin. Something in her eyes shifted. She looked down at the cracked mug on the ground, at the broken handle lying inches away. The engraving was still visible. Think deeply. Speak softly. Act kindly. She bent down and picked up the handle. Straightened. Set it gently on her desk. Then she looked directly at Keisha. No smile this time. No mask. You think I don't belong here? Maya said quietly, her voice stronger than it had ever been in that room. Keisha faltered, just half a second, but enough. I think you're right. The words landed strangely, quiet but deliberate. Maya turned and walked. Not running. Walking. Past the desks, through the glass doors, out into the grey hallway. Behind her, the laughter faltered, faded, died. She didn't look back. And no one noticed the figure waiting for her just around the corner. A man in a charcoal coat, broad-shouldered and calm as thunder. Daniel Chen watched her approach, his expression darkening with each step she took. Maya met his gaze, and for the first time all day, she let herself exhale. The stairwell door clicked shut behind her with the finality of a judge's gavel. Maya leaned against the cold metal and closed her eyes, letting silence fold around her like a blanket. Maya! Her eyes opened slowly. He was already there. Daniel, leaning against the far wall, arms crossed loosely, his dark overcoat half unbuttoned and damp from the drizzle outside. His presence filled the narrow corridor without effort, as if gravity itself bent toward him. She didn't speak. Neither did he, not immediately. He studied her face the way someone looks for injuries, his gaze traveling down to the soda-stained sleeve of her cardigan. Again? He asked softly. Maya nodded. She didn't want to cry. Not here. Not with him watching. But something about Daniel, the way he looked at her not with pity but with recognition, made her throat tighten. He stepped forward, reaching into his coat and withdrawing a handkerchief. Real fabric, light blue with his initials monogrammed in the corner. She smiled faintly. Of course you still carry one of those. He smiled back, but it didn't reach his eyes. Of course. He dabbed gently at the soda on her sleeve. They stood like that for a moment, just the two of them in that grey stairwell, surrounded by echoes and everything unspoken. Maya took the handkerchief from him. It's not that bad. Maya, if someone threw a drink at me in my own company, they'd be escorted out before it dried. It's not your company, she replied gently. It's mine. My choice. My job. My fight. I know, his jaw clenched. But I've waited long enough. This isn't character building anymore. This is cruelty. She turned away, bracing her hands on the railing and looking down the spiraling concrete stairs. I just wanted to be normal. To build something of my own. Earn respect, not fear. Do work that mattered without everyone seeing you first. Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then, you've done more with that restraint than I've done with $1 billion. She laughed quietly, wiping her eyes before tears could fall. Don't say that like it's impressive. You literally fund climate research with pocket change. I'm not joking, Maya. She turned back to him. Her face was tired but not weak. It's not about respect anymore. They'll never give it. They don't know how. I tried to stay quiet, keep my head down, but it's getting worse. I think, she paused. I think they want me to quit. Daniel's eyes sharpened. Then they've made a very serious mistake. Silence stretched between them, thick with the weight of a choice neither wanted to make but both knew had already been made. Daniel, Maya began. But he was already pulling out his phone. Who are you calling? Richard, he said, thumbing the screen. I want full acquisition numbers by noon. Acquisition? She blinked. Wait. Daniel. I've already looked into it. Privately. Quietly. Apex is owned by a hedge group I can dismantle in 3 calls. I didn't move before because you asked me not to. But you never asked me to let them humiliate you. She reached for his hand, stopping the call. His eyes met hers. I don't need you to save me, she said, her voice shaking but sure. I need you to stand beside me. Just this once, let me choose what happens next. Daniel stared at her for a long moment. Then he lowered the phone. Okay. The word felt heavy, not like surrender, but like trust. Maya looked down at the broken mug handle still in her bag. She clutched it like a talisman. Something had broken today. But something else had taken root. A fire, small but real. Come home with me, Daniel said. Just for the weekend. No spreadsheets. No inbox. Just us. She hesitated, then nodded. And as they walked out into the cold drizzle, Maya realized something. She had spent so long trying not to be seen. But on Monday, she would return. Not as the quiet woman in the corner, but as someone everyone had underestimated and would never forget. Monday morning arrived wrapped in golden gray light. The storm had passed overnight, leaving the city washed clean. Sunlight broke through clouds in uneven streaks, dappling the lake outside their home. Maya stood before the tall bedroom mirror, buttoning the last loop on her cream silk blouse. Her cardigan, cleaned, pressed, repaired, lay folded on the bed. She wouldn't wear it today. Instead, she chose a tailored black blazer. Not designer. Not flashy. But powerful in its precision. Her hair was swept into a sleek twist. Small gold hoops in her ears. No armor in her outfit. No attempt to intimidate. Just intention. Daniel watched from the doorway, silent. Before leaving, Maya turned to him and placed the broken mug handle in his palm. I won't need this anymore, she said. He kissed her forehead and let her go. Apex Marketing Group buzzed with its usual Monday morning energy. Keisha was already at her desk, lips glossed, nails painted a defiant burgundy. Jennifer filmed herself at the coffee bar while Marcus scrolled through his phone, making sure everyone heard about his weekend conquests. They hadn't noticed her yet. Maya walked through the glass doors without hesitation. Her heels, practical but pointed, clicked across the floor like a metronome. Steady. Unyielding. The receptionist, Sam, looked up and blinked. Oh. Hi, Maya. You're early. I know, she said, meeting his eyes before moving on. She made her way to her desk. Keisha noticed next, her eyes narrowing not with guilt but with suspicion. She hadn't expected Maya to return. Not after Friday. Not after the video they'd shared in the group chat all weekend. Jennifer leaned toward Marcus and whispered something. Marcus chuckled. Maya sat down, logged in, and opened her inbox. An email sat there, flagged as urgent, from Legal Affairs, Apex Holdings. Subject: Internal HR investigation, immediate staff response required. She opened it, scanned the contents, and allowed herself the faintest smile. Keisha's screen lit up next. Then Marcus's. Then Jennifer's. One by one, their eyes locked onto their monitors. First with confusion. Then with dawning alarm. Jennifer jolted to her feet, knocking over her coffee. Marcus leaned back with a nervous laugh. Keisha stared at her screen, clicking and re-clicking as if something might change. It didn't. Maya rose from her seat. Is there a problem? Keisha turned, voice sharp. What did you just do? I submitted the video, Maya answered evenly. The one you took, Jennifer. And filed a formal harassment complaint. It's all documented now. Witnessed. Logged. Marcus stepped forward, voice forced and light. Okay, let's not blow this out of proportion. It wasn't personal. Maya's gaze met his. Steady. Cold. You recorded me. You kicked my chair. You laughed while I cleaned soda off my work. I was going to let it go. She paused. I'm not anymore. Then it happened. A second alert hit their inboxes. A hush fell over the floor. Someone in accounting gasped. Keisha's hands trembled as she read the subject line again. What is this? Maya tilted her head. Chen. As in Daniel Chen. As in the man you called my imaginary boyfriend. He's not imaginary. And as of this morning, he owns a controlling share in this company. Jennifer's voice broke through the silence. You had a billionaire husband this entire time? Maya turned to her, almost gently. I had every right to earn my place on my own terms. But you didn't give me that chance. You decided I didn't belong the second I didn't look like you. This is crazy. Marcus backed away from his desk. What's crazy, said a new voice from behind, is that any of you thought she was the weakest person in the room. They all turned. Daniel stood by the entrance. No coat. No tie. Just calm, clean power. He walked slowly past the stunned employees, coming to stand beside Maya. I'm not here to make threats, Daniel said. I'm here to announce structural changes. Effective immediately, all employees involved in Friday's incident will be suspended pending investigation and HR review. This is ridiculous, Keisha exploded. You can't just waltz in here. Daniel raised a hand. Ms. Washington, you are no longer speaking to a fellow employee. You are speaking to the majority stakeholder. I can, and I will. Jennifer tried to gather her things. Leave the laptop, Maya said softly. And the badge. Security escorted all three of them out. The office was silent. Truly silent. Not the hush of gossip, but of reckoning. Maya turned to Daniel and whispered, that wasn't for me. No, he said. It was for them. So the next time they see a quiet woman, they'll think twice before underestimating her. She nodded, then returned to her screen and opened her report. The office had never sounded so different. The knock came at 11 a.m. 3 soft raps on the glass wall of her cubicle. It was Deborah Wong, Senior VP of Strategy, holding a black folder close to her side. Miss Chen, she said, the formality uncertain. The executive board would like to speak with you. 15 minutes. Conference room 12. Maya nodded. I'll be there. Conference room 12 overlooked the Chicago skyline. Board members sat in a semicircle, coffee cups steaming beside tablets and notepads. Daniel was not there. His absence was deliberate. This was her room. Her moment. Deborah gestured to the chair at the head of the table. Maya took it. Thomas Greer, interim CEO, folded his hands. Miss Chen, first, on behalf of the board, would like to express our sincerest regret over what happened. I've personally reviewed the footage. It was inexcusable. I appreciate that, Maya said calmly. I assume legal is moving forward. He nodded. Yes. But that's not why you're here. He pushed a leather folder across the table. Effective immediately, we'd like to offer you the position of Director of Data Strategy. You'll oversee your current department, restructure analytics processes, and report directly to executive leadership. Maya opened the folder. The terms were generous. More than generous. The title. The freedom. The authority. Everything she'd once thought she had to earn in silence. The room waited. Finally, she looked up. I'll accept on one condition. Thomas raised an eyebrow. Name it. I want to establish an internal task force dedicated to workplace culture, ethics, and anonymous reporting. With teeth. Not a slideshow presentation. Something that actually protects people. Not just people like me, but the ones who can't walk into this room and make demands. A pause. Greer leaned back, arms crossed. That's not standard. Maya smiled. Exactly. Another pause. Then he nodded. Done. That afternoon, Maya stood in her new office, glass-paneled, tucked in the northeast corner where sunlight spilled across a walnut desk. She set down her bag and pulled out a framed photo of her mother, placing it beside a vase of white tulips already waiting on the table. A note was tucked beneath the vase. Daniel's handwriting. For the storm you survived, and the one you now command. D. She sat in her new chair and opened her laptop. Her reflection appeared in the screen's glass. She looked like herself. Only taller. Not in height, but in presence. In purpose. In peace. 3 weeks later, Maya stood in the glass atrium. Employees gathered on the balcony railings above. She held a microphone, her voice steady. I've worked in this building for 2 years, she began. For the first time, I feel like I've been seen. Eyes fixed on her. Not with pity. Not with disbelief. With respect. Change doesn't start with policy, she continued. It starts with accountability. With empathy. And yes, with grace, even for those who don't ask for it. Especially for them. The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was reverent. Then came applause. Real applause. Not the kind that follows a name drop or a flashy pitch, but the kind that comes when truth touches people where they are still learning to grow. Maya didn't smile for them. She smiled for herself. That night, back at the lake house, she stood barefoot on the deck, tea in hand, Daniel's arm around her waist. The moon lit the water in silver ribbons. You burned the whole house down, he said with quiet admiration. No, she replied, resting her head on his shoulder. I just opened the windows and let the storm blow through. He chuckled. Grace and thunder. She nodded. Always both. The wind danced across the lake. And in its hush, Maya Chen finally felt what she hadn't in a long time. Not power. Not pride. Peace. A storm survived. A woman reborn. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If this story moved you, please subscribe to Tales by Shaldra for more powerful narratives about resilience, justice, and the strength found in quiet moments. Hit that like button and share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, remember, grace and thunder can exist in the same heart.